Welcome back to the 13th hour, all you boys and ghouls. Thank you for clicking on this video, and I want to give an extra big thank you to all of those who have already joined the 13th hour family.
Thank you all. Your love has broken the curse and freed my soul. I'll never have to kill again.
Really? Nah, I'm just screwing with you.
If you're yet to devote your soul to me, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. We're always looking for our next victims. Now, I spy with my little eye a brand new movie that has just hit theaters today, and I'm talking about A Quiet Place Day 1. Now, I really enjoyed the previous Quiet Place movies. I feel like in the past maybe 10 years or so, there's not really been too many good alien-based movies. Even if this alien is basically just a glorified, mutated librarian that's mission is to make the whole world quiet. Who really cares when they're that terrifying? These death angels haven't been around for too long, but they've definitely clawed their way onto the most iconic monster movie list. But I feel the movies haven't really given us too much information on what or why these creatures are even here. So today, we are going to spend some time together dissecting what these death angels actually are, why they're here, and maybe even look into ways we could potentially get rid of them. These death angels are a breed of alien species. Their planet is unknown to us. Their origins and purpose of coming to Earth are both a mystery. However, there's a few clues we can gather from the movies to help us figure out where these creatures came from. The biggest clues that we get is a newspaper clipping. This states that there were meteorites that had landed in New Mexico. After the crash landing of these meteorites, the start of these brutal attacks from the monsters began. It is said that the Death Angels originated from a world light years away. The Death Angels' homeworld was a lightless planet that was located in a faraway galaxy on a hell world without a sun. Now, it was said that life on this planet was much harsher than life on Earth. Their planet had a much higher level of gravity. It made movement really hard. But those beasts that endured that condition became insanely strong. For reasons not known, their planet had exploded, blown up into thousands of pieces of debris. And on those pieces of land that blew off is what the Death Angels supposedly rode on, that eventually crash landed onto our Earth as a meteorite. Although this has been stated by the director of the films himself, I'm not overly sure this is possible to be canon. From this explanation of the Death Angels' origins, we are introduced to so many more questions that really get us thinking that this situation, this scenario, might not be the entire truth. Because I mean, let's really think about this. To travel light years, you will need time and a lot of it. Light travels at roughly 186,000 miles per second. So it would take about 37,000 human years to travel a single light year, meaning that these creatures either do not age or they can live for an insanely long time. Death eventually occurs in all organisms. But there are some organisms, such as the Turritopsis dohrnii, I really hope I said that correctly, or else known as the immortal jellyfish. So these guys are basically biologically immortal, meaning the aging process does not affect them. However, they can still die from means such as things killing them or eating them, stuff like that. So they don't die from old age, but can die from their surroundings, if that makes sense. If these death angels are biologically immortal, they are not 100% invincible to death. We know these creatures can die. We have seen them die. But let's play my favorite game, Devil's Advocate. But what if we were to say, no, the Death Angels could not have made that journey on a piece of rock that would have had either no gravity or very, very little gravity, hurling through space for thousands of years at thousands of miles per hour. In fact, even as I'm saying it out loud right now, the thought that a creature could survive that is absolutely insane. But they had to come from somewhere. Rather than crash landing here, they were sent here by another alien species, ones looking to take Earth's resources and kill all of mankind. These death angels could be biological weapons, the equivalent to the Roman warhounds. Why send your own people or species to fight when you could send in your biggest, strongest dogs to really do some damage before you even go in? These death angels certainly don't seem smart enough to conduct a full-on invasion on Earth, nor do they seem to hold the knowledge to utilize the technology to do so. The creatures definitely come across as entirely animalistic, not hunting for survival, but more from fear, instinct, and the desire to be the only surviving species. For example, we see on every occasion where we have witnessed the beast make a kill, they do not eat their victims. They are not interested in eating us. In fact, I don't think we have ever seen them eat anything. I don't even know if these creatures even need substance to survive. They come from a world that is completely lightless. That's why they don't have eyes. They don't need them. But what that also tells us is they're not getting their nutrition from the sun. They're not surviving as plant life would through means of photosynthesis, but they have to be surviving some way or somehow. The death angels do have rows and rows of sharp teeth, and animals on our planet would have similar rows of sharp teeth if they were predators, such as sharks. The death angels' teeth indicate to us they are indeed meat eaters. If push comes to shove and they're hungry enough, anything would eat anything. Humans have been known to eat other humans in that kind of situation. So I do find it unusual that they haven't even attempted to eat us. And I'm thinking we either haven't seen this behavior yet, but it is happening. They may be dragging bodies off to somewhere private to eat, or we may be poisonous to these creatures, and the death angels might be able to smell something on us that is potentially lethal to them, the same way that humans can smell rotten meat and know that if you eat that, there's a good possibility that you're going to get really sick or even die. But if this is the case, that's good news, because we may be able to find something within us, whether that's blood or spit or I don't know, a bit of flesh, anything, and use that to our advantage. Another option could be that the death angels act somewhat like the reptiles on Earth do. For example, crocodiles are able to go a very long time, sometimes over a year, without food. Their metabolism is so evolved, but this kind of energy reserving does require almost no movement, and these death angels are anything but slow. Another thought that I had in regards to the death angels' origins was, what if these creatures weren't even from space, but instead could be a creation of mankind? Now, I'm sure a lot of us have already heard of Plum Island, a place where animal experiments happen, where they try and mutate and make different things. God knows what goes on there. The land is restricted. People can't go in. What if something like that made these death angels with the strength of a gorilla, the echolocation abilities of a bat, the teeth of a shark, the limbs of a praying mantis? All of these things kind of splice together to make a creature that is the peak of any evolutionary line. Maybe this other place that had created these death angels wanted to start war, and it's too risky to send nukes or bombs that could be traced back to you and your country. So instead, why not send an alien species? Now, many countries have the ability to shoot things into space. Billionaires do it just for fun these days. So who is to say that a country had not sent up these creatures just to have them come crashing back down and land in the US? And I'm sure they've landed in other places too. They would have made it look like a natural disaster. Aliens from outer space have come down and invaded Earth, and all this other country had to do is just sit back and watch the death angels wreak havoc and kill millions as an act of war that they didn't even need to shoot a gun, send in armies, or dip into their government's budget. So let's take a little look at the Death Angels' physique and their abilities. The Death Angels are coated in an impenetrable armor, like some kind of demonic M&M candy. They are completely invincible to human weapons. We have seen multiple armies bombard these creatures with unimaginable amount of firepower. It seems that bombs, fire, bullets, nothing is able to penetrate the Death Angels' armored skin. The Death Angels have no eyesight, and although to us that sounds like a weakness, for them, it is anything but. They have evolved to develop incredible hearing, using echolocation to hunt down any human making a sound. Echolocation is basically a method of figuring out the position of an object. The creature will use sound waves, which bounce off another object and allow them to find what they're seeking without the use of sight. These waves that the creature emits also have the ability to interfere with technology. The Death Angels also have these long, strong limbs. These gangly arms and legs allow them to jump very far distances. It also gives them the opportunity to hit or grab a human from a distance without having to get too close to them. At the end of their arms and legs, they have these super long, incredibly razor sharp claws. This makes them great climbers. And due to the strong gravity they had on their own home planet, their arms and legs are very, very strong. They can run at amazing speeds. And due to the fact for them that Earth feels like there's not much gravity at all, they are able to go that extra distance, that extra fast, jump that extra high. It almost feels like that there's just no hope for us, that these Death Angels are just invulnerable. But we have seen them being killed before, so we know there are some ways that we know that we can get rid of them. So things and weaknesses that we could kind of focus on would be their hearing. Their hearing makes them very dangerous, but we can also reverse that and weaponize their own hearing against them. The use of loud, high-pitched screeching sounds can cause them pain and to freak out. When we create this pain and cause the creatures to cry out, it actually opens their armor. This will leave them vulnerable, as under their exterior, they are incredibly soft and fleshy. Any sharp weapon that you have could pierce right through their delicate flesh and kill them. We've also seen that these aliens can't swim. Their strong armor is so heavy that any deep water they go into will cause them to sink. Now we know the creatures are not fearful of water, which probably tells us that's not something they have on their home planet. We have seen one wading through shallow waters very happily where it was able to stand when needed. But we have also seen one go in very deep water, and because, as mentioned, their armor is so heavy, he sunk straight to the bottom. We are not sure, however, that when the creature sinks, if they do in fact die or drown. The reason I say that is they've been able to live in our atmosphere, which is probably completely different to their own, and so far I've not been reliant on the oxygen that we need. So if these creatures do not breathe, then there is a possibility that the Death Angels could be wandering around on the ocean floor. I mean, to be fair, the Death Angels would probably prefer it down on the ocean floor. It's dark, it's quiet, and they wouldn't be bothering us. It's a win-win. I tell you what we should probably do. We should all chip in and rent out a big yacht, a big giant party yacht. Take it out into the middle of the ocean, but not so far that we're out of sight of these aliens. And we should just play loud music and party all night and watch the aliens coming from everywhere, the Death Angels trying to get to us but just sinking to the bottom. I feel like that's how we win. On a big party boat out in the ocean. I do believe that there is more to why these creatures do not eat us though. Their senses are very heightened, and I'm sure they are advanced in the biological evolutionary line. Certainly enough that they can detect that we wouldn't be good for them. I would love to see in the movies if somebody was able to do experiments on this, just to see if our bodies did have any effect on the creatures. I don't know where the movies are going, but I definitely think, in my own opinion, that we may be the key to our own survival. We just don't know how to use what we've got yet. But what do you think? What do you think these creatures are? Do you think they are from space, or are they man-made, or do they belong to another alien race that is just setting their dogs on us? I would love to know what you think in the comments, so be sure to let me know. Also, the movie has only just come out, so if you're going to the cinema, be quiet. And that's not because the aliens might come for you, that's because I might come for you. Those people have paid really good money to go and see a movie, so don't spoil the ambience for them, guys. I really love going to the cinema, and I've just had so many buttholes in the cinema with me when I've wanted to watch a horror movie, and I don't know why it's always with horrors. If you know why, let me know. I think people get a bit too scared and talk because they start to feel awkward. I don't know, but let me know below as well your worst cinema experience, and if you even go to the cinema anymore, or if you just basically wait for things to come on streaming. I know I do that with a lot of movies now. But again, I thank you all so much, especially if you've made it all the way to the end of my video. I appreciate that so much. Be sure to devote your soul to me and subscribe. And if you really want to live extra deliciously, be sure to like the video as well. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.